It's time for the happy hour. We got a great show for you. Smash the like. Let's go.
Well, the top side streets are a dangerous place, so you better tune in to a credible face like this one. Yeah, this one. And you know he's not alone, and they're coming in hot. We got a Lake so Stan and a guy who really likes baseball. I don't know why he likes baseball. We got legs and a guy in a bear suit. We're making money up YouTube clips, big ticket flips. We got potential to grow. AFC's in the NBA. What else can I say? You gotta get in the know. Even Washington's inside game. Live talking flag. Why are you selling so low? Those Canadian bacon and friends. Fun never ends. Come on and get on the show. Big hole, big hole, big hole, big hole.
People are freaking out enough. Why not? Lose my mind. What is happening?
This is the financial advice.
Listen, I see Chris in here saying everyone come back in a half hour when the intro is done. You know what, Chris?
Well, the top side.
No, I'm not doing it again. Welcome to the show, everybody. Good to have you back. We're gonna have a couple of friends on in a little bit. I believe Jayne and Packrip are gonna be joining us in just a few minutes. We're gonna talk a little bit about the now dead employee play policy. And we're also gonna have some guests. We have newly married intangible.eth. Mr. Steve himself is gonna join us, and then I think Tandy wanted to take this so seriously that he was like, let me do it from a water park. So I'm excited to have both of them on to give a couple of different perspectives on the now thing that doesn't seem to matter so much anymore. But I do think it's still a good conversation. So that's going to get started in just a few minutes. There's a lot of people here already, and I love that. And that's also why I'm not going to go through and read all of the comments. I'm saying that right now. I'm not going to say hi to everybody. Okay. This isn't the millennial hour. I'm just happy you're here. But look at this. San Francisco City Legends, bang, just became a YouTube member. I also saw Rock and Roll resubbed up. So lots of good stuff here. I imagine most of you are familiar with Team Hole, but if you're not, thanks for being here. We are gonna we do content every day, but it is funny if you are new and I'm about to say, hey, I'm not gonna be here for 2 weeks because I'm going to get married next week. So we'll still have content. It just won't be my mug coming at you. But the plan is to talk about that play policy and just see a little bit of like, what the thought process was behind it. What are some of the pros? What were some of the things that they are reasons we decided to push it back for a year. So we'll cover all of that stuff. And then, I don't know, maybe if we have a few more, if it's a little bit of time, we can dabble into some other areas, but that is going to be the focus of the conversation. People are already saying like, marriage already changing you. Come on. I need the vacation, guys. I need the vacation so bad that I took this morning off. I was like, I don't want to dive into UFC Strike today. I was too tired. I just didn't have it in me. So there we go. Big shots of yeah, there's a lot of animosity in the chat today. What's going on, guys? This is Friday. This is good energy. We're having a harpoon summer on a Friday afternoon. It's good stuff all around. So I'm also going to drop a link here. I'm going to drop a link into the chat so you guys can join the old Discord. Hope we see Farmer Carl on the honeymoon. There we go. We haven't seen Farmer Carl in a while, right? We haven't had a Farmer Carl sighting since March. The show is 1 minute late. That's why everyone's pissed. Listen, I was talking to my guests. I was saying hi. Tandy was, out by a water slide. Had to make sure everything was good. Trevor said, what are we drinking? We got a Harpoon Summer coming at you today. I got to say, I don't know where everybody's at. I know I just made fun of Tandy for being at a water park. It is very hot in New York today. It is very hot. So I saw Packrip even tweeted going like, what the heck? It's hotter in Florida than it is in New York. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The other way around. The other way around. I already botched it up. We'll be super chatting a question for Jayne if there's space for a Q&A. Look at this guy. Look at Top Shot Tesla. Just always coming in with the super chats. That's what I like. Over under on a shirtless Tandy. I like these types of bets. Mike will return to a candy-centric community after G-Dun poisons us. Speaking of that, though, some good news. You're going to see a bunch of different morning marketplaces while I'm gone. I'm sure we'll see Greg. We might even see a little Dustin if he wants to get up early. We're going to have Jeb a little bit. We're going to have some Jeb in the streets. We're going to have John Boy Beats. We're going to have TST for week number 2. A lot of different people are going to come through. Maybe even Tandy. Maybe we'll get a Tandy sighting. We get a Weisberg sighting. So a lot of different people are going to come in and handle the morning marketplace while we're gone. So you can keep coming in every morning at Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock to get the goods. Consigliere in the chat, he's screaming. If it's too loud around the pool, does Tandy have to get a Snickers bar to clear the area? Oh, God. This is one of those times where I have to filter some of the questions before I run Burgundy and just read them out. All right. What else? You guys want to, anything you want to chat? Is Sawyer going to host? I don't think we haven't seen Sawyer in a long time. Hopefully we get Sawyer soon. Couple of announcements that came out today, really just around challenges and burning. Are you guys burning that no look 3? What a journey for NBA Top Shot. No, the no look 3 was kind of like the people's cosmic, right? That was like the grail moment for a lot of people that weren't going to drop massive bags. And now you have to burn it. I'll share a screen here. We'll pull up OTM's I'm sorry, OTM, the full official sponsor, just to take a look at this real quick. Just so people can see what are we burning. I'm Ron Burgundy from 2K being burned. Okay, hold on. Let me pull this up. Here we go. So this is the LeBron. We've already got 129 completions of 1,500 eligible. I'm so fascinated what this is gonna be. The low ask for this is 615. So here you go. You need a LeBron base set with a mint count of 15K or less. It looks like it's a 3-pointer at $90. You need a rare for 469, a Lakers rare, or a team. Shout out Jared Allen, and then a couple commons. But listen, 129 have done it already. That's impressive. Weisberg said, had that moment gifted to me when it was a $400 moment. Now Top Shot wants to burn it. I know, right? I know. Well, we can ask in the chat. There we go. I locked my LeBron no look 3. Now I want to use in the challenge. What do I do? Lighting everything on fire. Dude, shout out JJL Smith. JJL Smith pulled, what was it? The number 1 of what was the number 1 you pulled? Was it the LaMelo? Not the LaMelo. What was it? You pulled the number 1 the other day, which was pretty exciting. Also, is my Wi-Fi bet? No, we're okay. It looked like on my side it was a little weak. But yeah, I don't know. I burned the copper reward. I did that yesterday. But I still have been of the mindset, like if I don't have everything ready to go, I'm not like buying anything. If I like the moments, I'm not burning them. But I know there's a lot of different perspectives on that, which I would say is a positive thing. I think it's a positive thing. That's a lot of different perspectives. If we're all doing the same thing, it's stupid. It was Maxi. It was Maxi. There we go. That was the Maxi number 1. Shout out JJL, man. What a king. I'll say this as well. While we get this conversation started with Top Shot Kangs, if you guys have any like questions that you would like to be addressed, I'm not going to ask all of your questions, but if you do have a question, you can put it in the chat and I'll try to get to it or work it into the questions that I already have prepared because I'm taking this seriously. Okay. Jackson Hayes, that's who it was, right? Jackson Hayes, as he struggles through a few beers. That's okay. It's the happy hour. That's what we're starting to do. Weisberg said, decided to buy Robert Williams Throwdown, even though I had the MGLE, didn't want to lose the moment ranks eligibility. Can you play the Jacob mental health check? Yeah, we can do that right now. You guys want a mental health check before we get started to get us in the right mind, the right headspace? I don't remember which one it is, to be honest. I think it's this one. Here we go. Hey, man, I noticed that some of my Series 2 moments, I spent a lot of money on them, and it's not worth as much. So, Jacob, can you make it worth more? I think we got a lot of those questions. We're going to ask about Series 3, 9999 utility, all of that stuff. We're going to ask all of that stuff today. SF City Legend said, talk about NBL's trade. And in the words of my consigliere Top Shot Tandy, big brain trades. I'll be honest, I didn't even see the trade. I didn't see the trade. All I saw, the big buy. Yes. Or was it a trade or did he straight up buy it? Wasn't it a purchase? Unless there was a new one, but ask them who their least favorite Dapper employee is and why it's Dumbo. I think that's a pretty good question. I think that's honestly though, you know what? I'm going to go the other way. That's not a good question because that's an easy answer. You know what I'm saying? Be careful not to hit the HJ drop. I know. People want the Dort report too. Now we're not going to run through all the hits yet, guys. You got to ease into it. Okay. Ease into it. Oh, check the Twitter DMs. All right. Hold on. Check the Twitter DMs. Here we go. I love it. Did you guys rug the show, which would be very funny if that's how this went down. I won't do it live though. I've learned my lesson on that. Here we go. Oh no, it's not. All right, hold on. Let me send you the link again one more time. I'm going to send it to you both. Did I not put it in an email this morning? My bad if I didn't. Let me double check. Sorry guys, doing it real time, making sure we get our guests here. You know what I'm saying? Is Dez in there, man? I would love to get Dez on the show. Do you know how fun that would be? Do you know how fun that would be if Dez was on the show? I miss Dez. That was a fun experience yesterday. I feel like that's not the end of it either. That's not the end of the Dez experience. I feel like because he's absolutely dropping a project. So I'll be excited to talk about that when that happens. Is it bad? I just watched for the drops. Okay, Jump Shoot. That was rude. Let's just remind the people though, if you haven't liked the stream and subscribed, let me do a real time. Yeah, only 78 likes. It's like 60%, guys. Come on. You're better than that. 60% on a Friday? Unacceptable. I'm about to go on vacation. We should be at 100%. Should be at 100%. James in the chat being like, dude, why aren't we talking about F1? That's what we should be doing right now. But Packrip and Jayne are going to be joining in just a moment. And then we're going to talk with them for a moment before we bring on our guests, Tandy and Steve, who are being ever so patient. I think we could bring on, I don't know if I like suit Mike yet. Colton. All right, relax, dude. We're in a t-shirt. All right. We're in a t-shirt today. Okay. Is our first guest ready? You ready? Can I get a thumbs up in the green room if you're ready to go? He's ready to go. Let's bring on the new face of, I would say, backyard basketball. Just out there smoking threes. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. A little tired, but happy to be here.
Yeah, what's keeping you tired? Friday afternoon energy? Is that what we're saying?
Well, I'm in New York now, and to get from Florida to New York, you typically have to get on a plane. And when you fly with a very little baby, typically you want to plan that flight as early as humanly possible. So I've been up since 4:30 in the morning, which is generally pretty
that's early.
Pretty not great.
Yeah. Wait, so that makes more sense. I thought your tweet this morning, you like woke up, checked the weather app, and you were like, what the hell is going on? But you landed in New York and also felt how disgusting it is here.
I'm literally back in New York at my wife's parents' house, the house that Packrip was built in.
Oh, wow.
Hanging out. I got the grandparents watching the kid right now while my wife is like hanging out with her friends in the city. Left me for a little solo dad duty on a work day. You know, it's cool.
Well, I appreciate if we need
family's about, but
if we need to Venmo for babysitting for you to come on, let me know. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Speaking of Venmo, Mike, where are you going on vacation? Where can we send the wedding gifts?
When you can send I'll drop a link to the registry. I'll drop our Zola link in there. No, we're getting married in Portland, Maine, a week from tomorrow. So we're heading up to Portland early next week. And then we're going to stay in the Northeast for a little bit and do like a real honeymoon in the spring when things have settled down a little bit, because more people are getting married this summer. It's not just us. So we have to go to more weddings.
Appreciate the invite to that one.
Yeah, dude. It's probably with that Google link that you're looking forward to doing the show. Let's you cool to get started, and then when Jayne joins, we can keep going. Because
and for the record, Jayne just messaged me and she said, "Where am I joining? Is it the Google link?"
Did you guys not get an email from me this morning?
We got an email from you. The thing is that we don't really do email at that. 99.9% of our communication is on Slack.
I'll DM it to her. So I
messaged her. Yeah, she'll be here any minute. But we definitely got that email. I checked my inbox, and it was like accompanied by 15 other emails that I haven't read yet.
Yeah. I wanted to start. Well, now it's the second we get into this, my Wi-Fi craps out. You're going to be hosting this thing by yourself in a second. But I'm kind of glad you're here first, only because if you just read Twitter after this announcement came on, I think the everyday Top Shot user was like, Packrip did this because he misses it so much that he created this potential policy so that Packrip can come back and collect Top Shot moments. So
Gotta rip packs, man. I'm losing the brand.
I thought that was so funny though that was like the initial response from everybody.
Mike, I'm literally going to Barnes and Noble to buy my daughter books, but it's really to like buy cardboard packs of NBA that I just rip open. I'm like, this is not fun. Who does this?
I honestly didn't know Barnes and Noble was the place for that. That's how out of the loop I am because I'm so Top Shot. Okay. But speaking of so Top Shot, it is not a Google link. They have officially been invited through the StreamYard link. I'm excited to welcome. Listen, we've done this in real life before, but never on the Team Hold stream. Jayne, welcome. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you coming on a Friday afternoon.
I'm in Portland in an Airbnb, so this is the best setting I could get, and away from my children. So
there we go. Are we Portland, Maine? Are you in Portland, Maine in getting ready for our wedding? Is that what's happening?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, congratulations first of all. Portland, Maine is probably beautiful in the summer. I'm in Oregon because my wife is from here and she threatens to make us move from California to Oregon. I mean, I love Oregon.
Yeah.
I appreciate the trees. I appreciate the rain. But I like to visit.
Yeah.
I like to visit. Yeah.
Fun fact, and then we could get into it. I got a call from my mom like 5 or 6 days ago. And I will first say I appreciate her having the solution before she called, but to let me know that she booked 5 rooms at a hotel with the same name in Portland, Oregon, and had to find one in Maine because that is where we are getting married. So it happens. But anyways, I'm glad to have you both on. And I know, I think since we scheduled this and since the information went out on Twitter, we've since learned, I think that we're probably, the whole reason for this conversation is being put off for a year. Never be too prepared,
Never be too prepared. I was thinking about that when we were having this, and I was like, we got to have some good content, Packrip, so we don't it's contentious enough. So I think we can still, have a good debate. But yeah, I mean,
anything for content,
anything for content. That's right. But the feedback overall from the survey, 70% positive.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the feedback that was negative or even neutral was around protections in terms of what are you doing to monitor employees, which were all extremely legitimate questions. And so there's like 2 reasons that I want to push it back. One being, I don't want to ruin a good thing right now. And I also don't want to distract from Series 4 when I think it'll be kind of a product defining series for us as a company and as Top Shot as a product. And I want to make sure the tooling is there too. So we do have like a separate fraud stream that we monitor, that we would monitor. I mean, it was built out. We're obviously not going to use it right now, but to manage employees, that is different than obviously what we manage for fraud across our network. But we will just keep enhancing, and also I don't want to run the risk too of like legitimate like employees for like really good intentions wanting to collect, and then the system doesn't block them from doing something that they can't do in the policy, because that would create a news too. And I don't want things like that to happen where there was not a nefarious situation, but obviously anything like that would be kind of considered, I don't like the drama. So
no, of course. And I think one of the things that I like, and then we could probably bring on Steve and Tandy in a second. I know Tandy's having an issue with his Wi-Fi, so we'll give him a minute to reset from whatever water slide he just went down. But what I kind of wanted to ask first was just what was the starting point for this? Like, what were the conversations happening that you're comfortable and okay to share where it was like, oh, maybe this is something that you put out there, see what the community thinks? Like, where did that how did it start?
Yeah, and like, I mean, I know Jayne has way more context into this than I do, and I'll let her give the real answer. But I'll say that like when I joined Top Shot as an employee in early January, and was like having conversations with Jacob during my first 2 weeks, it was like this idea of a play policy being enacted across all Dapper sports was in the works as far back as that date. And I had seen early policies that they had drafted. I had not drafted this. This is like our legal counsel that draft these things, right? There are a lot of people involved in these decisions. I have nothing to do with them, but I was like, that seems pretty interesting. My first glance was like, I don't know if this is worth the risk of doing it, especially right now. Like, it seems like there are a lot of things that could go wrong without the proper like controls in place, but also, you know, like when you sign up, you kind of do it with the understanding that you're not going to be able to collect. But it's just helpful, I think, for people to have that context that, you know, this is not something that was just like, well, we kind of miss it, let's put it back. This is like a 9-month plus conversation across all of Dapper sports that's been happening to some extent.
Yeah. And I think too, and Jayne, you also alluded to this, but the most like common thing I was seeing feedback wise were like the two things that you guys have already addressed too, was that like, why now, but more importantly, you know, what kind of safety nets are there in case somebody does mess up, and it was so funny too, because originally the conversation, and now I'm getting notification that my Wi-Fi sucks, so I apologize, but originally, though, what if they're out there scheming and I was just like, man, if that is what you believe is the company, then we probably should like rethink how much money we're giving them from our own pocket. But I think that conversation morphed a little bit to being more of like, okay, what safeguards are there because if it's gonna happen, I would say 99% of the time it's like an accidental thing they didn't know was going to happen that then happened, and then it's like, okay, now how do we fix this retroactively? But that won't stop people from losing their goddamn mind on social media if something happens, you know?
Yeah. And you know, and the timing too, like when I joined in September, I think the policy was pretty much ready. And they were we were thinking about pushing it out then, and we didn't. And it was always going to be in an off season, or like at least even like we do it next off season, or we wait till the following. Like it's never going to happen mid season, because I think it's too disruptive. Again, I just don't want distraction from the user base where, I don't want them thinking we're scheming. And when Packrip's one of a few now. It used to be the majority of people had some knowledge and depth of the product, but now we have a lot of people within the company that have never played Top Shot or very little. And even for the way that I learned Top Shot deeper is talking to the community, because I couldn't play it. So it was like looking over community shoulders, having those conversations, which are great. But, some people in our organization don't have that luxury of just being able, maybe creepily DMing people on Twitter and asking if they can screencast, they can watch someone play the product. But and so. Yeah.
I did follow people around Vegas asking if I could watch them open.
You did.
For the record.
Yeah.
That's a true thing that happened. I was like, you know, open the pack. Like,
how many HR complaints came in from that, Packrip? You following people around?
None that I know of, but there is a meeting on Monday morning that I got invited to.
I think this is probably a good time to bring on. I think Tandy is now in the water. He's no longer back there, but we could bring on Steve too. And I know Steve has had some Twitter thoughts being pro this. And I think this is still a good conversation, whether it's happening tomorrow or next year, kind of seeing like, what are some of the pros to this and what are the cons? And so let's bring Mr. Newly married Steve. Congrats.
Wow.
Steve.
Everyone's hey, Steve, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm at the age that like people are getting their divorce in like their second marriage or having kids, but I remember those days, those first marriages, so congratulations.
Thank you.
So Steve, why don't you, after we got a little bit more context. I know you were backstage listening, and I know you are one of the people that actually read the things when they come out. So I feel like that provides more context for you. What were some of your initial thoughts when you had learned about this potential?
My first thoughts were they seem to be very well thought out. A lot of the edge case seem to be covered. And to be honest, my first impression was it seems like a bad deal for employees. Like they can only buy, they can't sell. Like there's just so many things that were I would say overboard to err on the side of caution. So I thought it'd be a little bit better received. But I think the community just kind of as a knee jerk just hated everything about it. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit, not feeling so great. But yeah, I have lots of other things to say specifically, but just high level, that's what I thought.
I'll be fully transparent. My Wi-Fi went out completely, but now it's back and fresh. And I don't know what you said, but I believe deep in my heart that it was very good and very thoughtful. And I came back just in time to hear that your throat was bothering you. So I hope you feel better soon. All right, I see. I think this might be interesting just for a second to bring Tandy on to see what his thoughts are. But based on just looking at him in the background, this is going to be a shit show. But it is Friday.
Does he look pissed? Yeah, just bring him in.
It looks like all right, he's giving me a thumbs up, but here we go. Tandy, how are we doing?
I'm doing okay, a little stressed out. Wi-Fi completely dropped on me. I'm somewhere in White Plains in a water park, and I've definitely gone down the slides a few times. But I'm glad to be here with you guys with a terrible connection and not very much battery.
White Plains, New York?
Above White Plains. I'm in Carmel.
Oh, okay.
There you go. You guys are going to hang out later at the water park, it sounds like.
That's right.
So Tandy, this is good. I like this, that every time someone says something, they don't have the context for what just happened before because the Wi-Fi is terrible. This is exactly what we're looking for. But
Jayne, should we tell the IT team to stop fucking with their Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think we should tell them they can move the drones now.
Thanks, guys. Tandy, you were pretty vocal early on about some concerns, and I feel like some of them have been addressed in the conversation, especially the whole why now, which it's no longer now, and then also the bad actors / safety nets for mistakes. But where are you landing on a lot of this stuff?
Yeah, so I think the why now, what was really unfortunate to me was just that it felt like we were really moving, doing real well. Like I couldn't remember the last time we had that many consecutive weeks of just good old vibes. Just felt real nice, and then this conversation started, and it felt kind of divisive all of a sudden. And so that's why I was so, I guess, frustrated. The vibes were so positive, and I wrote this on Twitter, that even Dave P himself with the Priority Q podcast, shout out to the Priority Q podcast, he starts throwing out Jayne style gifs about coming back and doing his podcast again. And so I'm thinking, wow, the vibes have not been this immaculate for some time. And then all of a sudden, Twitter gets divisive again. People start fudding. And that to me was the why now. So even though, true, I'm glad that we are punting this down a year from now. And you can't cry over spilled milk. But that was me kind of crying over the milk, is that I just felt like we were in a really good spot. And then all of a sudden, people were being divisive again.
So Tandy, and maybe I can pose this question, you can share some thoughts, and then maybe it'll be a good spot for Jayne or Packrip to jump in. What do you think is the ideal situation for something like this to be introduced? Because it doesn't sound like you're out on it. You were just like, oh, the vibe's good, which I agree. The vibe was good. But based on just humans. Is good. Is good. Still having a great time. Still smiling through it all. But what I feel like no matter what is introduced or what is not introduced, the sense someone's going to tweet some angry stuff, someone's going to tweet some happy stuff, content creators will go away and then they'll come back again. So what to you, what would that look like for a good introduction?
So I guess my idea at the time was just get us to a place where, we're not a few weeks of really good sentiment, but we're maybe a few months of really good sentiment, where the community is really gelling, where the Board 8 PFPs are talking about NBA Top Shot again. You know, like honestly, that was one signal that I saw. I saw like a couple Bored Apes talking about maybe buying some NBA Top Shot again, and that was like, maybe that's the canary in the coal mine, that the vibes are indeed immaculate. So yeah, I would just say the same thing, just more of what we had basically, and not to say that we're in a bad place now, we're not, but that momentum, just instead of weeks of really good momentum, months of good momentum.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So just saying like a longer stretch of everyone hugging each other online.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of kumbaya.
Yeah, I like that. Steve,
take that.
Janie's on board with that.
I'm on board.
Steve, do you feel like, and again, I apologize because my Wi-Fi went out. Was there like one singular thing that you think is like the best, or like why this needs to get introduced, like why the community would benefit from this, not just I'll leave it at that.
I think first and foremost, there's no substitute for actually using the product. So right now, employees get their feedback from basically people yelling at them on Discord or Twitter. And as a result, like basically you only, like a lot of the negative stuff bubbles up, and you don't get a lot of like the what's going right reinforcement loops.
Yeah.
And you can only really experience that if you use the product yourself. And and if you use the product, you can kind of figure out like a combination of like the feedback being given, whether it's worth more attention or not. Because some people who make a lot of noise, they just are good at making noise. But that might not be like something worth putting a lot of time into. And again, there's no substitute for using the thing. And I would say it's unprecedented, I think, in the NFT space for like the owner of the product to not use the product. I don't think that's good just for any product, just regardless. I think they should be able to use it.
Yeah.
And some of the best times I ever had in Top Shot land, by the way, were in Series 1, where I was trading with employees, and that was a lot of fun. And I miss those times.
Yeah. I thought like Jayne and Packrip kind of touched on this a little bit earlier too, about there not being many who are left that like had interacted with the platform about, right? There's like a lot of new people that maybe have not had the opportunity to play, and thinking now about how many new things have been introduced to the platform. Like Packrip, like Top Shot's probably pretty different now than when it was when you were last interacting with it, right?
I think
Yeah,
when you were stalking people in Vegas, didn't you say it was like totally different? You were like, wait.
yeah, I mean, flash challenges like barely existed when I joined. Crafting didn't exist when I joined. Locking didn't exist when I joined. Really, the only utility for trade tickets was once a month, the opportunity to get a Series 1 pack for 350. Still 400 trade tickets sitting in my account. So the product is fundamentally different. The marketplace is very different. I think there are a lot of filters and tags and ways that it works and way that it's populated that has changed and evolved over time. And naturally, as someone that's like working 12 hours a day and also not shopping actively for moments, I'm not in the marketplace all day like I was back when I was creating content and buying moments and collecting. So I think from a day-to-day perspective, as well as like a big feature, kind of like how you play and engage with the platform, it has changed. You know, I probably have spent as much time on Top Shot in like the peak of my Top Shot days as anyone. And I think a lot of people within the company, myself, Time Lord, Steve, Brandon, you know, a lot of former content creators, a lot of former people that would listen or be on these shows are employees now. And we bring the perspectives of being a collector as well as the perspectives of having a community mindset to the product, like every day, every week, and every big or small decision that gets made. But, you know, over time that gradually erodes. You lose some of that, and you also lose the ability to just feel the connection to the product as much as you would also. It's also fun, like, frankly, right? And if you could let people have fun with it in a safe way, I think that's a benefit for being an employee and attracting talent, but also just building a more fun, better product for everyone. You know, I think that's just like my immediate response to that question. But I have a lot of thoughts on this.
And no, you know, the policy I think is actually sound in terms of, I don't think that the policy will be changed much from the feedback, because the feedback, again, like I said, was not about the policy itself, but more about the tooling around what we're doing, like adding roles to the back end and things like that, which I completely agree with. But, you know, there's like, no one's going to be on leaderboards. Like, there's very strict rules to it. No one's selling in the marketplace. So it's the things that I think created we're not going to even use the platform, like during back in the day. That's not the point of this. The point
Yeah.
is to get people to actually use the product. So we can also have more objective conversations. Right now, some of our conversations internally are so subjective because either we have to pull from our old experiences, like, okay, well, on DraftKings, or at EA, like, you have to kind of like pull from other things, like, and this is how we looked at this problem, because we're not allowed to like use the product and figure out what the best thing is for Top Shot.
Yeah, and I know this isn't a perfect comp, but it kind of reminds me like anytime a professional athlete retires and goes to the media, everyone's very excited to have that voice immediately because it's someone who is just left the game and has a better sense of like what the game is today. So like JJ Redick went out and everyone like lost their mind, or like CJ McCollum, because it's not people who are like 15 years removed from the game still, and not that they can't have a great perspective on it, but it's still they've just interacted with what the thing that they're talking about. So I do think there's a lot of merit there. I think, like, do you think, and Tandy, I apologize, I have you muted, so just give me like a thumbs up if you're ready to fire. It's just because, are you ready to fire? Yeah, what do you got for me, Tandy?
So what I would say is, like, my take is this: if you look at the policy, it's good, it's airtight, like it all looks good. And Steve made a good point, which was like, the people making all that noise might be totally missing the point, and like in reality, it's a good policy. And my fear is that the Web3 space, the NFT space, is very much driven by the horde. And the horde doesn't always necessarily need to be thinking things through or understand things perfectly. But if there is like a whiff of something is afoul here, or there's some trust that's eroding here, it can have massive effects. And that's what concerns me. When you think about the example, like Jayne, when we were chatting on Twitter, you had this example in DraftKings where it was like, you got to experience DraftKings, but in a completely off to the side test environment. And like, ideally, that's what something like this would be. Although the nature of this marketplace makes it appear that would be impossible to do. But to me, that would be like, that's the safe environment, because as soon as there's any possibility of anyone creating any FUD, a Top Shot employee gets a number 2 cereal, right? The policy is about the number 1 of the jersey. All of a sudden, a Top Shot employee gets a number 2 cereal. A Top Shot employee doesn't buy a certain player, and then certain Twitter sleuths start buying that player, and all of a sudden they're right, and all of a sudden they start thinking, oh, well, there's probably some inside information. Like, this stuff doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to make sense. But the nature of this space is that it can create a shitstorm when we don't want that. And that's kind of my point here. Like, a lot of big brain thinkers, smart people, are like, there's no problems here if you actually read the literature. But that's not how the sentiment works on social media. That's my point.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair, right? Like, running the risk of, I think we all know how fragile momentum can be for Top Shot, and how much it's impacted the highs and lows. And so I'll speak on behalf of Packrip and myself, maybe, and the team, in terms of, we want to continue the momentum that we have, and continue to make sound decisions, and go up and to the right in a very measured way, without a bunch of spikiness and franticness. And so introducing a play policy, I think there's going to be other things though too that we're going to have to take some risks on. Do I want to take a risk right now on the play policy? No. Do I want to take a risk on the play policy maybe down the road? Maybe. And again, it has to do with, how's the market looking in terms of like the fragility of it, how's our tooling. But I think even this process of getting feedback from the community on high risk or potential high risk things we might want to do, but we believe, and hopefully the community believes, that there's going to be massive upside too. We can have a process where it's potentially years from now, we give an alpha, we're like, here's, look this over, what do you all think? We get feedback, we have this type of engagement. So it also doesn't feel like we're going to just like play policy tomorrow, here it is, like, go. And I think that also the reaction I got almost made it seem like that's how the community read it. And that's not how I operate, nor like just does a team want to operate, where it's like the next day something happens and there was no involvement from the community, and also no engagement and no like collaboration. So I totally agree with you, Tandy. And like maybe between now and when we roll it out, there is focus on some sort of testing environment that we can have. I don't know how feasible that is, but tooling, very much so. We will not roll it out until that happens.
And oh man, I can say this. I know you guys can't say this. You need to like close your eyes while I say it. It's also nuts that Tandy's point counts. And I don't mean like Tandy specifically, although we could, put that to a poll as well, Tandy. But that like by where like the bigger concern is how people who are not educating themselves on what's actually happening getting angry, right? Like that's
That's
nuts.
life, Mike.
No, I know. No. And that's my point. Like, this isn't Top Shot specific. This is more societal specific. And I'm looking forward to paying a therapist to help me get through this. But like, that's so nuts to me that it's like, hey, yeah, we have like a thing that's probably going to help both short-term users and long-term users. That's really going to help grow the community. But it's like, yeah, but what if so-and-so tweets something out crazy and that gets 19 likes and a couple of quote tweets? And it's like, well, that's also slowing down progress. And again, I'm not someone who has answers for any of this. It's just kind of taking in Tandy, I do agree, like what you're saying is true and will happen. It's just kind of nuts, like hearing it out loud, being like, oh man, watch out for insert Twitter handle name here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of nuance and perspective to the whole thing. I'm gonna quickly just like fire off some thoughts if that's cool.
Yeah.
I want to address just like some of the comments, because naturally reading the comments is always a good thing to do. We do have like a test and production environment for our developers and for our engineers to like build things and test new features before we roll them out. So that environment does exist for certain features. I don't think that it fully replicates the experience of like being a Top Shot collector, joining a drop, browsing the marketplace, but naturally that does exist as like a technology company. And to Tandy's point, I can't believe we're saying that, but like, Tandy's pretty smart for what it's worth. Like even the most harmless, unintentional mistake, which would be like accounted for internally, would gain steam externally, would have uproar and outrage and all the things that are just part of life today, like as a result of that thing happening, whether or not it was like malicious or intentional. And that's just like the nature of any online community, let alone Top Shots. But I think that what we did in terms of like introducing the policy for feedback was a good thing. I mean, like, we want the community to trust us, and we want to build deeper trust with the community. And like the growth of Top Shot historically and in the future relies on an engaged and trusting community that loves the product and believes that it's something that they want to share with other people, right? So I think it's important for us to build that trust, and saying, what do you think about this, instead of this is going live tomorrow, is a way to build trust. Now, like, I do think it's probably accurate that a lot of people that acted most upset didn't read every word of the policy. And that's okay, because like they might be upset about what they're upset about and they might not care about the nuance of it all. You would think as a Top Shot collector that people that work for the company can buy moments and can't sell them at all are like the best possible collector you could have. There's nothing more diamond handed than that, right? Like, I could buy it, I can't sell it, and I'm like invested in this company doing better. And I also think that like there was some really thoughtful, tiny details in the policy that mitigated a lot of like speculative risk or like conspiracy theory, oh my God, they're cheating. Like, I thought one of the most impressive and like positive proposed ideas is that we can't buy moments in any series or any set until it's closed.
Yeah.
So like, like I could only buy, like, series 3 isn't closed yet. It's going to happen soon. But right now, if the policy was live, I could only buy series 1 and series 2, right? So like that in itself, I can't act on information about things that are happening soon. I can't participate in any challenge, and I can't sell into a challenge pump if I was buying something thinking that it was going to inflate in value 20% because it's a requirement tomorrow. Like, I'm stuck with that moment until, who knows when, but hopefully a long time. So like, I think that there were a lot of people contributed to that document, right? It had a lot of different legal angles, collector angles, community angles. So I think that there were a lot of thoughtful ways to mitigate the potential things that could go wrong in the policy itself. But it doesn't change the fact that, to Jayne's point, there wasn't like a technical way of stopping someone new who maybe is like the most talented new hire that we have, but never used Top Shot before. And it's like, I'm going to buy this LeBron moment, and then accidentally buys the same moment twice, which like you're not allowed to do, right? We can only buy one of any moment, and it has to be a moment from a closed series. So like I couldn't stack anything. There are a lot of restrictions there. So I think that there are a lot of good things about it, but without the proper like actual controls in place to prevent someone from making a mistake, it probably makes sense to wait. And ultimately, like, we haven't been able to do it, so there's no huge rush. I think that, when it happens, it happens. If I were to have the policy, like, I'd go buy all the Knicks moments that I don't have because I love the Knicks, and like, the RJ Barrett Hollow MMXX that I always like wanted. Like, maybe now I would go buy that because like I know that I'm never going to be able to sell that. I know that I'm holding that for a long time. That was always like the top thing. I love RJ Barrett. So I think that it would be cool to have it, but at the same time, like, I knew that I couldn't do it when I joined, and I never expected it to be changed personally. I never joined Top Shot being like, I wonder if they'll change that policy. So like for me, whatever happens, happens. And Dustin, like, we could one-on-one on the Bear, because one of the best shows of 2022. Absolutely love the Bear. But yeah, I mean, like, it's great that we're having these conversations together and that we could talk about this and make decisions together and hopefully like grow together and not always be so like reactionary and aggressively negative about things, because ultimately Jayne and everyone else at Top Shot like want to build the best possible experience and product and community for the people that love it.
Yeah, I think I also just want to say this too, because I know I had y'all for a half hour. So this is like your free pass. If you have to dip, you can dip. This is free pass, but otherwise I'll keep talking. So just give me like a peace sign, and I'll get you out of here. I wanted to ask though, like, do you think this is a way of the future a little bit for not all Top Shot decisions, of course, but like get it when like we're making a little bit of a shift, like the series 1 thing. Now we're seeing the employee play policy of getting that community feedback, and like how do you feel like the responses have been helpful, that this is like something you'd like to continue doing?
I don't see why not. I think the more we engage with the community, I think the better we've done. And I don't know if that's corollary or causal, but I think in the last few months, we've been way more involved with the community. And I think it's only benefited our ability to make better decisions, make less mistakes, and improve our product. And I think we deeply understand what is important to the community. And that's something that I think we all talk about and remind ourselves when we think about decisions that we make. Packrip and his team, I think too, excellent with the community. So I would say, I don't know if every sport's gonna model how we operate with the community, but as long as I'm GM, we probably will do more of this type of, like I said, process of involving the community. And again, I think we appreciate the feedback when there's like when it's not overly emotional, like it's okay, hey, I don't really, can't, like, I actually really love the dissent. It's because it makes us better. Where again, I think of our, when people are like, fuck you, blah, like, that's when it gets to be like, well,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
not
going to be a
helpful.
great conversation. Yeah, but like, honestly, like, make us better. Like, it's what we need to do.
I think in this kind of, and I know Packrip, I feel like you were about to say something, so I apologize for cutting you off. I mean,
You're
it
fine.
kind of goes back to what Steve was saying a little bit too, of like cutting through the noise a little bit, where just for, even not for you all making decisions, but just for me as a collector and content person. Also, Jayne, this is great that we get a cameo. I don't know if you know about this, but
Two of mine are coming on.
I loved it. Dustin is famous for having his children make cameos. So this is on brand for all of us. I love it. Look at it. How old are we over there?
5 and
5?
3.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's fun. Well, I'm glad they will have to get Greg to get them their own team hold badge for their appearance today. But for like me as just the collector, it's been dope seeing like what people actually think. Like when that series 1 poll came out, I was like, man, I have no idea how people are going to vote on this. And then it was like 4,000 to 40 or whatever it was. And I was like, see, this is like just as on the collecting side of things, this was good to know because I'm so used to like 8 people tweeting out aggressively being like, give me the series 1. I want to spend these 350 trade tickets. And the majority were the other way. So just as a collector, it was nice to have that.
Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, and I know Jayne and I are like pretty aligned on this one, like we're a Web3 company at the end of the day, and we'd like to build in the spirit of Web3. And a lot of that is working hand in hand with community. When you look at the 9 Lives Lounge, when you look at like the 120K WNBA grant that we just gave out to that set, when we look at team captains and all the work that we're doing with them, it's because we want to build with our community and empower our community to build with us and make decisions with us or for us sometimes, right? But we're a very data-driven organization in general, like across all functions. And if we could like centralize our very, very passionate community into like tangible data that we could use to inform decisions that they're aligned with, because we certainly made decisions historically in my time here as an employee and in my time before as a collector, where it's like, that was the wrong decision. Like, why did they do that? Right. So I think that is a Discord poll necessarily the best way to execute that concept? We wanted to make sure that it couldn't be gamed. We wanted to make sure it couldn't be manipulated by fake accounts. We wanted to make sure that it was like verified users. But like in the future, we'd love to have that voting functionality built in to the website, built into the homepage, connected to your Dapper wallet. Maybe you get like a float POAP thing for participating, right? Like we can build out community-centric voting into like important or small decisions more holistically as part of the product.
Yeah.
But I think this is a great start. And like, I do think that moving forward, there are things that will let the community vote. I mean, listen, this isn't like alpha. Would you guys like to be able to vote on like a moment from a specific game and have a few different options and have the power to choose? Like that would be cool. Maybe that's something that like team leaderboards could do or team communities and the captains could do, right?
That.
There are a lot of different ways that we could engage the community to make them feel like they're building with us, small and big. We need to figure out in Series 4 how we do that more holistically as part of the product. But it's definitely something that has netted positive results so far in the small tests, and something that I'm certainly pushing for. I mean, I think it's naturally like a really, really cool way to make people feel like their voice is heard more than just yelling on Twitter. But also like collect really valuable data for us to make decisions.
Yeah. No, it does feel like we're entering this, I don't want to say community driven. We'll just say community era of Top Shot. It kind of with like the way the captain's program is evolving. There's a lot of different ways to participate in the product. And I think that's always the goal. That's always that is how it will be successful. And it is cool seeing on your end, people leaning into it, and on the collecting end, people, stepping up and taking on roles to help move that along. I want to, again, I know I gave you like a fake out, and now I want to like really be conscious of time. I appreciate y'all being here and standing around or sitting or lounging, however you are right now. But Steve, LG was really concerned in the chat. He said, "Can you say something? You're making me nervous." So
sure.
I just want to make sure Steve is alive. And
I'm just trying to be respectful because I appreciate everyone on the stream. I don't want to interrupt or anything like that. I did really appreciate the the S1 voting in Discord. That was really cool. I guess my only concern, slight concern, was it wasn't really, was there any consideration given to people who actually own S1 moments? Because technically anyone could have voted. It's like, well, there's no vested interest in people who don't own them. You know what I'm saying? It's like people who don't have any skin in the game can vote on things that could influence people that do have skin in the game. So
yeah, there was consideration to that, Steve, just so
okay.
you know, like we had those conversations internally. The idea of like, should we even email everyone that's bought an S1 reserve pack previously and spent 350 trade tickets and get their feedback? Like
because I mean, end of the day, the people who don't have S1s, I'll just give you the short, they want cheaper S1s, right?
Sure.
The people who currently own S1s do not want cheaper S1s. So you have like these two communities. So like, and then the vote was basically open to everyone. So obviously it's going to be heavily sided that people who don't own S1s because most people don't. So It's like, okay, so if you want to have the community control something they don't own, it's a good way to do it. But I don't think the outcome was like, I like the distribution, don't get me wrong, where it's now they're going to allocate the same number of moments per month. I like that. That was fair. But just as an example of the voting thing. Anyways.
Hey, Steve, listen, man, when I reached out to you, you were supposed to do the pro Top Shot stuff.
Hey,
and Tandy was supposed to do the con stuff. And so...
Actually, sorry, I know LG was concerned about me not chatting. I'm doing rapid fire just like Packrip did a minute ago. But like we trust Dapper with so much already. We trust that this product is going to continue to exist, right?
Yeah.
Like we trust that they're going to provide updates, like feature updates. We trust them with so many things, and to trust them with like one other thing, it doesn't seem completely outrageous. And just back to Tandy's point, if there's a subset of users here that no matter what, they're not going to like what they hear, and there's no good time to deliver news that you don't want to hear. So whether it's today or next year, there's going to be pushback, and at some point in time, you're going to have to confront it, because if Dapper wants to continue to hire people who love this product, it's going to be really tough if they can't collect on some basic level. So that's why I would love to see that. And I would love if Dapper, just to kind of, one of the bigger concerns is around trust and fairness. If there's some way to provably show like fairness of distribution of moments through the random number generator, or it's just something, because right now it's all a black box, right? We just have to trust it's done correctly. If in the future, if there's any way to build more trust from a technical perspective, like I think that would be a huge step in the right direction.
That's smart. I also want to say one more thing too, Steve. You mentioned this earlier about very unusual for a Web3 product to not have their employees like mess around with the product. I was able to get a hold. I wish I had it readily available. I did this like 2 weeks ago when the conversation first happened. But I was able to get a hold of like the Candy employee play policy, and like I think everybody who is probably already buying Candy stuff and saw that, they would lose their damn mind, because it's basically like, yeah, just wait a couple weeks before you list anything. Don't buy a bunch of the same stuff. Just be cool about it, okay? That's like, it's like 3 bullet points. That's
well,
it.
what's kind of going unsaid here? Let's just be honest. Let's just cut to the chase.
Ooh,
It's like a lot of this is just basically this edge case of are there bad actors? Is some rogue employee, bad actor, going to take advantage of this play policy? And the honest truth is, if that actor exists, they're already doing it. Like, if someone wants to game the system, it's already happening. That's the honest truth, right? And so play policy or not, like if someone is a rogue bad actor employee, it's already happening. And that's true for any company in the world. Right. And that's something you can't, no matter how good your lawyers are, no matter how good the policy is, you can't stop it. It's very difficult. So I would rather have a public policy where employees can participate on some basic level, keep it all out in the open, than not have that. Because I think the other way, like, I don't know. That's just my own opinion.
That's great. Sorry, I got distracted because people send us money and it throws me off. So I'm starring this Top Shot Tesla, and I'm going to share this. But Steve, I thought that was great. But I also want to make sure that Tandy feels like because I feel like I gave Steve more of a platform, and I can already see the tweet thread coming where Tandy's going to be like, once again, Zakarian. All right, go ahead, Tandy.
Well, I would agree with Steve that if anyone's going to do foul things, then it's already happening. And that's not, like I said before, that's not really my concern. But the other thing that I would also ask you, Steve, is like this idea that it would be great for employees to really understand the product they're using. But then how do we resolve that when the product they're using is going to be restricted, in some obvious ways, maybe in some less obvious ways? You can't really, like the stacking players, etc. I don't know how important that is to understand. But you can't craft, you can't join certain drops, etc. Like, do you think that makes 100% sense if you can't like try all the food on the menu?
No, it doesn't, but it's better than starving, I guess, right?
These analogies just coming out. Sorry, I yelled and everybody muted themselves. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just trying to be animated.
Yeah, all right, fair. I mean, fair enough. But anyways, I do think that these are things obviously that can be considered over the next year. And again, I don't really know what the perfect scenario is. I agree with you that in theory, if people understand what's going on, then there shouldn't be major issues. But it's that gray area that just scares me. It like what Packrip was saying, and if there's not something coded into the platform, let's say, to make sure no one makes any mistakes, then the minute there's one single mistake, it's just going to be a shit show. And like, there's going to be apologetic tweets. It's going to be, no one in the community wants to have to deal with that. Not from the Dapper side, not from the people on the Twitter side, not from the content creator side. So it's basically just trying to avoid any sour scenarios. And the question is like judging what could potentially go wrong versus the potential upside. That to me is like the key question here, and I don't know the answer, but that's kind of where I'm sitting.
Yeah, like just to kind of comment on that, I just want Dapper employees, end of the day, to experience the same frustrations we experience. Like having to buy 350 trade tickets, that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. And you can only describe that in so many words, but until you actually do it, like you can't feel that. You can't feel that frustration.
It's very frustrating.
It sucks. Like
I did it. It took like 3.5 hours, and I was moving really fast.
But could I make
there's no
Sorry,
substitute
Steve, go.
for it. Go ahead. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, my what I wanted to say about that was a long time ago. Some of the guys in the Own the Moment Discord, shout out Own the Moment. They had this idea of like, what if you had councils of collectors of different, let's say, status levels. Okay, you had councils of collectors. To me, that would be the way that we could address this idea that, employees don't really get to know the inside and outs of the platform. If you ask me, I would imagine that there's dozens, if not hundreds, of collectors that would gladly chew your ear off for hours while they share their Zoom screen and try to snipe trade tickets. Like, they'll bore you to tears with it, I promise you. And so like that exists if you're looking for an alternative that sort of doesn't risk anything in a gray area. So that's where my head's at for that particular topic.
That's
all right.
fair.
I'm gonna put a pin in it for now for this part of the conversation. I think this was very useful, and I think it's good to. First of all, I appreciate all four of you coming on to share your thoughts and the thought process behind the policy. Some of the things that we're excited about, some of the things that maybe causing some pause for concern. And if people are up for it, would love to do something similar, maybe next off season as we get closer to something like this again. I wanted to say there was one other question that was a little bit off topic, and maybe we could close with this, Jayne, if you're open to it. And I don't expect you to.
I'm sure I'll accidentally drop some alpha at the end of this because it wouldn't be an appearance without some. And so give me a question.
Well, all right. This is a pretty pointed question, so I think it'd be tough to drop alpha. But if you want to just throw some in there at the end, you can go for it. But Top Shot Tesla, let me see if I can pull this back up. He gave money to do it, so I will.
Is this the one about diversity? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah,
just
$20. I was like, I gotta answer that.
Right, we have
that's
to.
$20. That's right.
I'm gonna throw it up. I'm just gonna say it just in case someone caught this in audio form. But he said, Jayne, the NBA's most diverse fan base in sports. When I look around fellow Top Shot collectors, and I'm gonna include content creators as well, I don't see the same diversity reflected. With user growth being a priority, any strategies, thoughts to include more people in the room? I think this is a dope question, Top Shot Tesla. So thank you for asking it.
Yes, we need more diversity. Packrip's heard it before, and actually, it is from a content perspective, from a partnerships perspective, how we acquire new users. There's the organic way that we're going to grow diversity just by our product becoming more like mainstream, if you will. Then there's the more focused efforts that we are doing, that we're going to be doing, especially for S4. I recognize that we have kind of a homogeneic look to our users right now, and I think women, people of color, LGBTQA plus, whatever the community is. I think this is actually a very accepting community. I mean, it's sports, hopefully we don't talk a lot about like politics and like religion and all of that. Like, sports is a pretty uniting thing to talk about. Different ages, it's no secret now that we will most likely have King's accounts, in this year. So I see this as multi-generational, spanning different types of demographics. 40% of our product is international. So we already have quite an international user base. And the Philippines has the highest NBA fans per capita of any country in the world. So
Wow.
there's things like that. No, but like I think a lot of it too is being in the places that where you want your expected audience to be. So partnering with Telemundo and partnering with name a
Careful,
publication,
Jayne.
the Philippines.
Careful.
Yeah.
Wait, was it just about to happen? Was it just about to happen?
No.
Was that?
No, I won't say anything. Yeah. With women's, content creators too,
Mhm.
but I'll stop there before I worry Packrip too much on that.
That's great. Well, thank you. Thank you all for coming on and doing this. We really appreciate it. I know the community seemed very excited about it, and I know you taking time out of your day to be on camera is not a thing people usually like to do. So I appreciate it. And look, I think before we're gonna end, we're gonna do one more thing. We weren't sure if it was gonna happen. I need to, Greg. Can I bring you on? All right, Greg. Greg was in between meetings with Hulk and Thor, I think, and was able to put some stuff together. Greg, how we doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Thank you to everybody for coming on, but obviously, especially Packrip and Jayne. Big day for Team Hold, I'd say. I am member number 3 in the background here, but there is something special that we do for folks, and I apologize in advance to Steve and Tandy. I feel like this is not your first time on the show, but we usually dole out badges, right? What would the show be without badges? The NBA Top Shot community. So we got badges for you guys.
There we go.
Is this showing up?
Yep, we can see it. It looks great.
All right. So here you go. So Packrip, first time on the show, Team Hold debut. THD.
Oh wow!
There we
Let's go.
There we go. Also, I missed the beginning of the show, but I heard you are a hooper, big time backyard hooper that we can all be jealous about. And last but certainly not least, I don't think anyone can say without a shadow of a doubt that you are not the GOAT when it comes to a pun in the name of your Twitter handle. Packrip Ewing. There will be no one to match that ever.
I love it. I appreciate the triple badge debut. I love that you got a picture that looks like I just received terrible news. I will cherish it for the rest of my life.
That's also a tradition. The screenshot's got to be terrible.
Yeah. It's the equivalent of the LaMelo Ball Top Shot debut, where it's exciting because it's a really good player, but it's it's not our favorite moment of LaMelo. So, but it's still important. It's still important.
Absolutely. And
well,
so,
congrats.
Jayne, slightly better.
Great photo, by the way. Thank you.
Slightly.
I'm very concerned about my badges that are about to come up. So
no, you should not be, because obviously you get the Team Hold debut. I'll be honest, I made these so long ago, I don't remember what they are, so I'm just going to pull them up. Oh, I know. I heard through the grapevine you're an avid physical card collector too, which speaks to my own heart. Speaks to my own heart. So we're giving you just a physical badge.
Ooh, that's first ever physical badge.
First ever physical cardboard badge.
I'm going to get it graded. Thank you.
Speaks to my own heart. And then we have the Dapper Wi-Fi, because I feel like you're the only one that can actually give Mike access to the Dapper routers, which he desperately needed this entire stream. And
the first 20 minutes were tough on my end. I apologize.
And I'm also excited to say this is actually a 4 badge.
Whoa.
Because the final one is, please don't sue us for taking the badges and putting them in our creative. Thank you so much. Truly. Thank you guys for coming on.
You will get access, approval, whatever, granted. So you can use the badges.
Excellent.
That whole segment is low-key just an excuse for you to flex your Photoshop skills, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It is. I mean, I joked that he was in between meetings, but I asked him earlier today. I was like, hey, any way you could do that for today's show? And he legit was in between Disney meetings, making that happen in the background. So, Greg, we appreciate you. For Tandy and Steve, thank you guys so much for coming on. Steve, who's not feeling well and post-wedding. Tandy at a goddamn water park. I appreciate both of you guys coming on, and then Jayne and Packrip again. Thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate
Oh,
it.
thank you. We appreciate all of you. Whenever
and
you
we'll-
want to chat, we're here.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again. Probably before next year, but definitely next year when we roll out the employee play policy that we dove into.
Or the roadmap. How about we wait for the roadmap and we'll do something,
Is this
that
it?
sounds like a good one.
I can already see Packrip perk up. Is this the alpha that's happening right
No,
now?
no, absolutely not. Yeah, no, Packrip will probably murder me. So no, we are not going to talk about the roadmap, but we can definitely come on after we release it. So
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you, everybody. I hope everyone has a safe weekend, and I won't see y'all for a couple weeks. And when I come back,
Have fun getting married, Mike. Have
yeah,
fun getting
thank you,
married.
everybody.
yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks.
I hope you
Steve,
smoke that cigar.
I will.
Enjoy yourself.
I will. I'll let you know. All right, everybody. We're out of here. We'll see you later.
Well, the top shot streets